Well, hello there, everybody. It's Grandpa Scott, and I'm here to share with you another new story and a great adventure. What's back here behind Grandpa Scott? That's right, it's a Christmas tree. And we're going to keep on reading Christmas stories right on through the holiday. So, are you ready for a new story? Me too. Today's story is called Mickey's Christmas Carol. Wow, that sounds pretty neat, doesn't it? Hey, what do you think of Grandpa Scott's hat? It's kind of festive. This hat was given to me by my son Samuel many years ago, and it's kind of festive, so I thought I'd wear that today while we read the story. Okay, let's read. Mickey's Christmas Carol. Poor Bob Cratchit. Mr. Scrooge had made him work late again, even though it was Christmas Eve. But now, at last, he could go home. "Merry Christmas," he called. "Christmas, bah!" shouted Scrooge. "Don't forget to take my laundry." He's not a very happy guy. Bob lugged the heavy laundry bag through the icy streets. He stopped once to rest, but only for a moment. Then he thought of his family, waiting for him. He picked up the bundle and he trudged on. "It's Papa!" cried Tiny Tim joyfully as Bob trudged through the door. "Dinner will be ready soon, dear," said Mrs. Cratchit as she put some scraps into a pan. "I wish Mr. Scrooge would pay you more. He certainly has enough money." They don't have very much, do they? But Scrooge never thought he had enough money. Tonight, as always, he stayed late at the office to count his gold coins. His nephew Fred opened the door. "Here's a holly wreath for you, Uncle," he said. "I've come to invite you to a Christmas dinner. We're having roast goose, plum pudding, and candied fruit, and—" "Out of my way, boy!" shouted Scrooge. "You know I can't eat that stuff." "Give a penny for the poor?" asked a man out on the street. "Give that to the poor!" cried Scrooge angrily as he shoved the wreath over the man's head. That wasn't very nice, was it? Scrooge is an ornery old guy. "All this Christmas fuss," muttered Scrooge. "Bah, humbug!" He thought of his old dead partner, Jacob Marley. "Marley never gave anything away," he said. "He was my kind of man." Scrooge shivered. He couldn't wait to get inside his warm house. As soon as he was indoors, Scrooge sank into his favorite chair. He was just dozing off when clank, clank, clank. Scrooge sat up at a start. The ghost of Jacob Marley was coming toward him, slowly dragging a long, heavy chains. "I must carry these chains through eternity," moaned Marley, "because I was selfish. Your punishment will be the same, Ebenezer Scrooge." "No," said Scrooge. "It can't be. Help me, Jacob." "Tonight," said Marley, "three spirits will visit you. Listen to them, and your chains will be heavier than mine." Oh my, this is getting interesting. The ghost vanished. Scrooge blinked and shook his head. "I need a rest," he thought. Imagine thinking I saw old Marley. He climbed into his bed. He had barely fallen asleep when the alarm clock jangled. Scrooge opened his eyes and saw a dapper little fellow standing on the night table. "I'm the ghost of Christmas past," he said. "See him there?" The ghost held out his hand. "Hold on," he said. "I'll take you to Christmas of long ago." Scrooge felt himself drift towards the ceiling. "Oh, oh, oh," he shouted as they sailed out the window. They flew across the night sky and landed near a house filled with music and cheerful voices. Scrooge looked in the window. "Why, that's me," he gasped. "I was young. There's old Fuzzywig. He gave me my first job. And there's my lovely Isabel." See how happy you were then, Scrooge?" said the ghost. "You were full of love. But you grow greedy, and you lost all your friends, even Isabel. Scrooge turned away. "I don't want to see any more. Please, Spirit, take me home." He didn't like seeing the way things used to be. Ring, ring. The alarm clock rang again. Scrooge had opened his eyes. "I must have been dreaming," he said. "Fee, fi, fo, fum," boomed the voice. Across the room was a giant sitting in Scrooge's chair, surrounded by bowls and platters of luscious-looking food. Whoa! "What's all this?" demanded Scrooge. "It's the food of generosity," said the giant. "Something you know nothing about. I am the ghost of Christmas past. Come and see what is happening tonight." He picked up Scrooge and dropped him into his pocket. Outside, the giant set Scrooge down in front of a tiny, tumble-down house. Scrooge peered through the cracked window. "It's the Cratchits," he said. "What a measly dinner they're having. Why aren't they eating food in the bubbling pot?" "That's your laundry," said the giant. "They're boiling it to make sure it gets extra clean." "What's wrong with the lad?" asked Scrooge. "Tiny Tim is very ill," said the giant. "He needs good food to make him strong and well. Pay his father more and he can buy enough for his family to eat." The giant's voice faded, and then he was gone. Scrooge tried to call the giant back, but it was too late. Suddenly he was surrounded by thick clouds of smoke. When the air cleared, he was standing near a broken-down tombstone in a shadowy graveyard. "Hello, Scrooge," said a voice behind him. "I am the ghost of Christmas future." Scrooge turned to the ghost. "Whose lonely grave is this?" he asked. "You see for yourself," said the ghost. "It belongs to the man who was very rich, but he was so selfish and unkind that he had no friends." Scrooge bent down to read the name on the stone. "Ebenezer Scrooge. Oh no, that's my grave." "That's right," laughed the ghost. "No, please," begged Scrooge. "I don't want to die all alone with no friends. I'll change my ways, I promise." "Something's happening, isn't it?" "I'll change." Scrooge's eyes flew open. He was in his own bed. He was still alive. There was still time to change, to make a new beginning. "It's Christmas morning," he cried. He dressed quickly and rushed outside. "Take these," he called, tossing bags of money to the men collecting for the poor. "Hello, Fred," he shouted when he saw his nephews. "May I still come to dinner?" "Of course, Uncle," replied Fred. "Splendid! I'll see you later. There's something I must do." I wonder what that could be. A while later, Scrooge knocked at the door of Bob Cratchit. "Merry Christmas," Scrooge said happily. "I have another bundle for you." "More laundry, sir?" gulped Bob. Scrooge laughed. "Don't be silly, my boy." "Look, Papa," cried Tiny Tim, opening the sack. "Toys!" "Friends are worth more than the gold in the world," said Scrooge. "Cratchit, from now on you and your family will have good food and warm clothing you need. Merry Christmas, my friends." Look at that. Tiny Tim with Mr. Scrooge. And he says, "And God bless everyone," shouted Tiny Tim. Wow, that's really amazing. How a grumpy old guy learned what it really means about Christmas, about giving and loving and sharing and being a friend, even when there's sometimes people that aren't very friendly. But Scrooge learned that the important things about Christmas, didn't he? Well, that's the end of the story, but that's not the end of the adventure, because now's the time to go outside and have some fun, because this Merry Christmas Carol, it's all done.